Okay, so parametric equations, 9-4. We're going to figure out why the ant would cross the picnic table. Silly. This is another type of equation that we're going to look into that is not a function. And you'll see this and you'll hear this, especially with the definition where you're looking at one-dimensional input that has multiple dimension outputs. Okay. So again, it's not a function because we can't have something occurring at the same time on the x-axis or with an x value and have two different y values. All right. But we're going to graph basically a function or not a function when we're looking at this. So we're going to look at, I guess what the summary I would say this would be is I'm going to give you two equations. One's going to be x and one's going to be y. All right. They're both going to have a parameter t, which we'll talk about here in a second. With those two combined, we're going to create a rectangular equation. All right. A lot of the stuff we've been doing before, we've been going from trig to rectangular. And that was r's and thetas to x's and y's, or x's and y's to r's and thetas. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go from x and t's and y's and t's to just x and y's. Okay, just back to our basics. Okay, it's going to give us a direction of how an object is moving, but the math side of things of all of this is pretty straightforward. Okay. Will it develop into something else the further math you go into or further science classes you go into? Probably. But right now, for what we're doing one section of it. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. So first, see if you can develop an equation. So the ant is crawling from one corner of the picnic cloth to the other to reach the leftover turkey. So we're first going to figure out an equation that discusses and talks about the horizontal position. Then we're going to look at the vertical position. And then we're going to look at basically both. I'll tell you this much. Number 3 is more like your good old algebra 1. So if you want to start with number 3, you can. Let's see if you can figure out those equations. Okay, who thinks they have the equation for the first one?
I don't like know an equation, but I have 3.
Okay, 3, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Is it in terms of is it x equals 3t?
Perfect. And it's hard to separate our minds out from that because we're so used to doing rise over run and all that stuff, and we're like, so wait, we've got our horizontal distance here, but we also have t, our time, happening at the same time. So that's where you have to kind of separate your mind from that. So yes, x equals 3t. Okay, what about our vertical?
Y equals 4t.
Okay, then if we're looking at both x and y together, what would that equation be?
Y equals 3 over 4x.
Be careful, I did the same thing yesterday. Rise over run.
Oh, is it 4 over 3?
I did the same thing because we did it in this order, that I put 3 over 4 too. Okay. So, we were able to do that looking at this graph. Okay. So we're going to be given 2 equations, 1x, 1y, and we're going to create an equation where there's no longer t involved. All right, so that's basically a lot of what we're doing today. So watch how cool this is. So if I get t by itself up here, I'm going to divide by 3. Let's just do this down below, if it'll let me. Okay, so if we divide by 3, we get t equals x over 3. And if we substitute that now into this equation, it's the same thing as 4/3 x, which is exactly what we got. Okay. So we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be given 2 equations that both have a parameter. Okay. And then we are going to eliminate the parameter by substitution, and then we're going to create a rectangular equation. Okay. Like I said, the math behind all of it is stuff y'all have done before. Okay. So t, of course, is the parameter. You're going to be given 2 separate equations. Our goal is to find the one that's the easiest to get t by itself, and then create a rectangular equation from that. This is something new they added in the pre-cal curriculum not too long ago. It's not like real new, but hasn't always been there.
How many more weeks of school do we actually have? Is it 4?
5, I think. But that's including that last week.
Well, it's basically like 2 because we have this AB schedule. So we have like 2 weeks in this class.
Basically. We're almost done. We survived. Okay. So we're going from parametric equations to rectangular. Rectangular equations are what I like to call our classics, our x and y's. Okay. We're going to be looking at, we've already looked at trig. Okay. That was r's and thetas. We're going to look at polar, which is also r's and thetas. And then parametric are going to be with t's, and then now that. Which equation looks easiest to solve for t for? Yeah, y. So if I multiply by 2, I get t equals 2y. And then I'm going to simply substitute that in up here. So I no longer have t's in the equation. I've taken two different equations, one that's looking at the horizontal position, one that's looking at the vertical position. Now I've turned it into one equation that gives me everything I need to know. Okay. This is a sideways parabola, which makes sense because it's not a function that we're looking at here. It is an equation, but not a function. Okay. Let's try a couple more of those. Go ahead and try all three. I feel like the answer should be yes because it's just logic. I mean, no. Yeah, because the whole thing is just basically if an auditor comes in here. Okay. I would hate for something as silly as 2 minutes. Give me all that. All right. So which one was easiest to solve for number 1? X or Y? X. So if we divide by 3, we get t equals x over 3. And yes, there are fractions, but these aren't too bad to deal with. So this just becomes y equals, we just square the x and the 3, so we get 7/9 x squared plus 8/3 x minus 1. Still easier to solve for x in number 2. I can just square both sides. So t equals x squared. Plug that back in. And if I just want to make sure I write it in standard form, so I know what that graph would look like. I just have to do that one, which you can do if you want. And then I'll have to cover up that one and then probably that one down there, but that's it. Thank you.
You standardized math testing again. Is that option to this week?
Next week. But I will help her right here. All right, so this one, which one did y'all solve for, x or y? Solve for x, y. The only reason why I say that is I did y in the last class. I want to see what x looks like.
That doesn't mean I'll do it right.
I just want to try it. We'll give it a go. So if we want to get the square root of t plus 1 out of the denominator, we can multiply that. And if we divide by x, to get rid of a square root, we can square. So t plus 1 is equal to 1 over x squared, and we subtract our 1.
I'm just flipping away.
Flipped them both, that's fine. So then if we plug this in now to t here, we get y equals 1 over x squared minus 1. Whoops, that's not over. And plus 1. If we get 1 over 1 over x squared, if we multiply by the reciprocal, we just get x squared. And that's exactly what we got when we solved for y in my other class. Either way. Okay. So that's dealing with the equations. All right, so we're going to look at graphing. Graphing is kind of cool how it works out. You have to show, well, of course, they're going to give you a parameter. They're going to tell you between this t value and this t value. And then you're going to show your direction that it happens. But the actual process of it is like literally taking y'all back to Algebra 1. And what I mean by that is a good old table, okay? So without knowing how to graph any of this, go ahead and fill in both this left side and this right side. Notice how I've given you what t equals. And you're going to plug it into this equation here, and then you're going to plug it into that equation there. Thank you. Now here's to hoping that it stays until then. It's because like the temperature fluctuates and then all that. So unfortunately, hopefully, yeah. Just fill out the chart.
What schedule are we on today?
The same as
This
yesterday, right?
one is a different one.
Thought today was the same as yesterday.
No. Yes. You're right.
Because it's the biology testing, they're just testing whatever class you have.
In my mind, I jumped to the next column, but you're right. April 21st is right there.
Is tomorrow, like, what time is their period of tomorrow?
Second period?
Third.
Third?
Is it late or is it early? Early? So 122 again?
Third gets out early all
132.
week.
I like it.
I like it too. Okay, so here's how this works. So we have now plugged in our parameter to each one of them. So we're just going to plot our x and y. So it's not like our typical graphs where we start plotting points and then we draw arrows going to the end of each one. Okay, we start and we have a stopping point because they told us in between -2 and 4. All right, and you'll see in another problem where it's not laid out in a chart that you'll see where they'll tell you between only these two numbers kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to plot those points, -1, -1. You can see mine. So this is my starting point. I have -4, -1/2. 0. Mine's of course going to be off because you can't see these blue lines.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have my starting point, which was down here.
I'm just going to say half of a parabola.
Do it.
It's like half of a parabola.
Right. And then we stop, or we're supposed to stop. Now, here's the kicker. This is what we haven't done on a lot of our graphs. Okay, you have to show the direction you went in. Okay, we started here and we go by drawing little arrows to show which way we went. Ta-da! Now, if I wanted to solve for y, or solve y for t, and if I multiplied by 2, I would have 2y squared minus 5. I would have 4y squared minus 5 equals x. And from doing the conic section, should be a horizontal parabola, and it is. So basically, we graphed that, but we graphed it where they gave us a restriction parameters. Okay? Bless you. All right, let's try one more graph.
week, this whole week, mine was about day. This whole week, and aren't these just testing days? This day and this day's a half day.
I still counted a Monday out the wake up for.
Monday, Tuesday are half days.
Are they?
25th is a makeup testing day. So, 4 weeks.
Almost there.
It's basically 4 weeks because we don't have school on May the 3rd, and those 2 half days are just 1 day.
What's the last day of this class?
This class?
Oh, we had challenge.
No.
Do we test on like how we did it last semester for midterms? So like the day that we do like 3 and 4, we'll do this class.
I'll tell you. I think that's right. So our last day in our last class will be the 19th for 7 a.m. So we'll have Monday the 16th, which we won't. Wait, that's a lie. Y'all are, sorry, I'm looking at Algebra 2. The 20th. So that Friday. So we'll take our state test Monday. And then Friday we'll take that cumulative exam. So we'll have Wednesday to kind of cover up any, because I've seen and created and looked at all the things of the Friday test compared to the state test.
So we're doing like a test instead of a project?
Mm-hmm. Since the state test is not counting.
That's a big bummer.
That it's not counting?
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, it really does suck. Where's that 15% gonna go?
We're still working that out because some of us.
Just give them 100.
No, some of us are saying it's separated in between, like evenly 5% to the last 3 columns. And then some of us are saying just leave it blank.
Yeah, just leave it blank, so it doesn't change people's grade at the end of it.
Just give them 100, so boost from the street.
Yeah, I think that's the best one.
The best
I
one.
mean, we basically have no challenges in it.
Yeah, if we didn't, it doesn't count.
If it would have counted, it would have.
I mean, it counts towards a college credit. Like I was really excited to see how many of y'all actually because there's just something back there that when it doesn't count, it's like I'm okay. I was curious to see finally, like full blown effort into it. How many of y'all are gonna get?
I think you should put the 50%. I'll put it into the quizzes category.
Did you look at the percentages to see which ones?
Yeah.
I need tests. Quiz are fun.
Okay.
No, but if the extra 50% comes from quizzes, that's my highest average.
Oh yeah, that's true. My quizzes were good.
So you can't
Because that was like
even
project.
put like part of it into the
Well,
50%?
we did like the quizzes on 8 and 9, and I did good on those.
What the?
Like you couldn't put 5% of the final grade or like the test grade into the challenge exam?
No, we're not allowed to count it. Yeah.
What if I do like really well?
Huh?
Like what if I do really well? Yeah, I got it.
Well, I think we also said too, we'll take the highest of the 2.
So I'm really confident as you go. I don't have to.
Wait, so if we get a good grade on it and we just want it in the grade book, but like not as a 15%, could it just go in the grade book, but not as a?
It would be your, if you do better on that than the other one in class, then I would count the challenge exam as your grade. Because it benefits you, it doesn't hurt you.
Let's get that on both tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Outsmart.
All right, so let me plug these in real quick.
we should give us like a big review packet and count as a test grade.
Just say it's for homework with this kind of test.
Like, give us like a
Oh, yeah,
point.
that'd be good.
That'd be great.
That'd be fantastic.
Especially if you post the energy.
Like,
Or if we just resubmitted all of the reviews we've already done. That would be actually.
Y'all are gonna be in for a
We should-
treat for
we should-
college. That's
We should make up our lowest
Oh, that's
classes
why we're
and
not
actually all on
why we're not going.
That's why I'm not in college yet. I've never understood that. Like
What?
the preparation for the next stage. It's like I'm not there.
I'll tell you this much as somebody who was not prepared for college got a real quick kick.
Well, that's our price to pay when we get to college. I just want to get.
Which
the,
I've learned that
I
that's
want to
what
get extra
people
months
want.
in high school now.
All right, so it was definitely not easy for me, and it costs money. So 0, -1, -3, -1/2, -4, 0, -3, 1/2, 0, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I just travel along here and I show which way I went. So like I said, the math part of all of this, not anything we haven't done already. But that's it.
So do you not go